Hello everyone. Today we are going to start the topic inclusive environment and inclusive leadership under Managing Organizational Diversity. My name is Ms. Pooja Prasad and I am working as an assistant professor in Babu Banarsidass University. So let's start with inclusive environment at work. It is very important when we talk about welcoming diversity in an organization to create an inclusive environment at work. So here are some of the steps on how we can create an inclusive work environment. First one is to make your vision clear. Employees and potential employees should understand the importance of inclusiveness right away. Websites, social media channels, workshops and meetings should promote inclusion as a company value. Policies and practices need to back that up too. Clarity and intentionality will draw new talent, strengthen trust, and guide an organization's path to specific, effective steps to inclusion. Second step could be to establish a D&I committee. Diversity and inclusion committees have four main responsibilities. Firstly, to advise on D&I efforts. Secondly, to integrate the initiatives through the whole organization. Third, to assess how effective the initiatives are. And fourthly, to ensure accountability. Membership should represent diversity in race, gender, ethnicity, sexuality, and age. All stakeholders, including employees at each level and senior managers, should have a place on the committee. Without a committee, it would be very difficult to develop inclusive practices that work and monitor how well practices are working. Successful D&I committees have full support from leadership, clear expectations, and the resources that they need to track progress. Third step could be to set goals and monitor progress. Goals can include improved pay equity, target number of attendance at internal trainings, or rewritten job descriptions with inclusive language. It's one thing to say a workplace is inclusive, but without specific goals and a way to measure progress, inclusiveness will remain a pipe dream. Collecting information is very important when monitoring progress, so companies should commit to high quality data. Not all progress can be tracked or reported in the same way, but steps like regular employee surveys and other ongoing feedback help a workplace stay on track. The D&I committee plays an essential role in this process. Fourth step could be to provide training to managers. Managers implement the policies and practices that turn a vision of inclusiveness into a reality. They demonstrate values, identify priorities, mentor other employees, and bring concerns to executive staff. If a company wants a more inclusive workplace, they need to make sure their managers are on the same page. This goes beyond simple discussions about inclusion. Managers need diversity workshops, training on unconscious bias, cultural training, and many more. Managers should receive consistent support, tools, and resources to help them build inclusiveness into their daily work routines. The role of a manager is difficult, and while the benefits are clear, leading a diverse workforce comes with challenges. Providing high quality, ongoing training to managers helps them and the workplace as a whole successfully create an inclusive culture. The next step could be to promote an inclusive language. When shaping a work culture, don't underestimate the importance of language. Language, both spoken and written, drives communication. Certain words and phrases can confuse or clarify values and priorities. Promote gender inclusive language, normalize pronouns in email, signatures, and take harmful language seriously. Inclusive language can also mean avoiding company acronyms or cliches, which often are not accessible to new employees and employees from other cultures. Adjusting to more inclusive language can be tricky at first, but with practice it gets easier. Next is to ensure physical and digital accessibility. Navigating a workplace with physical barriers is challenging or even impossible for people with disabilities. Organizations should prioritize safety and comfort for everyone, which means having elevators, wheelchair ramps, wide hallways, and many more. Many places require compliance to certain standards, but organizations can go further to ensure accessibility. That can mean having a home office budget so remote workers can buy comfortable chairs, standing desks, or whatever else they need. Digital accessibility is another way to become more inclusive. The last point could be to encourage open communication and accountability. Organizations won't hear about inclusion problems if people feel uncomfortable speaking up. The first step is making sure that expectations are clear. This is an ongoing process as new employees come in, policies are updated, and new practices are embraced. When problems arise, and there will always be problems, employees need to feel confident going to their managers. That trust is only gained when managers consistently respond with respect and accountability. Open, ongoing communication that is rewarded with concrete accountability is a must. So, these were the steps of how to create an inclusive work culture. Moving ahead, we will study today about inclusive leadership. What do you mean by inclusive leadership? It means capacity to manage and lead a heterogeneous group of people efficiently while respecting their uniqueness in an empathetic, bias-free way. It's an authentic leadership style that rules out discrimination, bias, and favor based on culture, race, and other protected characteristics and allows employees to feel valued for their own input. There are major 6 signature traits of an inclusive leader. Very first one is commitment. The commitment to staying the course consistently is not the easiest path. However, decidedly, inclusive leaders stay committed to diversity and inclusion. Second one is courage. They are not afraid to show their own humility for limitations or not always having the answers. Third, cognizance of bias. These leaders act from an awareness of their own biases and acknowledge the need to ensure policies, processes, and structures to prevent organizational biases from others. Third is curiosity. They commit to keeping their minds open about new ideas, perspectives, and how others see the world. They continually seek learning, listen, inquire, and have empathy. Culturally intelligent. They have knowledge of other cultures and how their own cultures impact others. They are deliberate in adapting to and learning from other cultures. Next is collaborative. Inclusive leaders know that in order for collaboration to be successful, teams must be willing to voice their different opinions and perspectives. They are mindful and watch for groupthink and subgroups to ensure a sense of we and one team. Now let us understand how can we develop inclusive leadership, how to be a more inclusive leader. Here are some of the key steps in the development of inclusive leadership practices. Firstly, self-awareness. Inclusive leadership begins with self-awareness. Leaders need to examine their own biases, assumptions, and privileges. Self-reflection is a critical step in understanding how their actions and decisions can impact others. Education and training. Inclusive leadership development often involves education and training for leaders and employees. This can include diversity and inclusion workshops, unconscious bias training, and cultural competency programs to enhance awareness and understanding of diversity-related issues. Thirdly, clear values and commitment. Leaders need to articulate and demonstrate a strong commitment to diversity and inclusion. This involves setting clear values and expectations for all employees, as well as making a public commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion in organizational mission statements and policies. Next is recruitment and talent management. Inclusive leaders actively seek diversity in their hiring practices and promote diverse talent within the organization. They encourage fair and unbiased hiring processes, mentorship, and professional development opportunities for underrepresented groups. Communication and transparency. Inclusive leaders communicate openly about diversity and inclusion efforts, progress, and challenges. They create safe spaces for employees to share their experiences and concerns. Regularly sharing diversity and inclusion metrics and reporting progress is essential. Active listening. Inclusive leaders practice active listening to understand the needs and experiences of their team members. They engage in open dialogues, invite feedback, and take action based on what they learn. Moving ahead to the empowerment. Inclusive leaders empower all team members to contribute their unique perspectives and ideas. Next is fair decision making. Inclusive leaders make fair and unbiased decisions. They consider a diverse range of perspectives when making strategic choices. promoting fairness and equity within the organization. Next one is conflict resolution. Addressing conflicts and issues related to diversity and inclusion promptly and effectively is crucial. Inclusive leaders are skilled in managing conflicts and fostering a culture of respect and understanding. 10th point could be accountability. Leaders should hold themselves and their teams accountable for their diversity and inclusion efforts. Next is organizational culture. The development of inclusive leadership should extend to the entire organizational culture. Leaders need to create an environment where inclusivity is woven into the fabric of organization from top to down. Next is ongoing learning. Inclusive leadership is not a destination, it's an ongoing journey. Leaders should commit to continuous learning and adapt to changing social and cultural dynamics. Lastly is external engagement. Engaging with external diversity and inclusion networks, partnerships and initiatives can help leaders stay informed and contribute to broader societal efforts to promote inclusivity. That's all for today. Meet you next.